Have you ever gone through a training session or a practice and you just absolutely crushed it, only to wake up the next morning hardly able to get out of bed because your muscles are so sore, you're fatigued, you felt like you got steamrolled by a freight train? I'm sure many of you have. And that's okay. That is all part of the recovery process of our body. And what we want to talk about today is how can we minimize that feeling after a really great training session. So what are the things that we can be doing to help our body recover better and more optimally after all of our training sessions? So let's dive in. And a few things that I just want to share, and we'll go through this during today's video, how I would potentially do things differently. I'm in my almost middle 30s now, and I did a number of these things while I was still training and competing in wrestling back in high school and college. But I could do different. There are new things, new research that show how we could do things differently than had I done back then. I may have been able to recover a lot faster. So let's dive in. First, we're going to go through a martial arts and fitness focused practice here. We're going to learn how to bounce back faster, and then we're going to change that mindset for recovery because recovery is really a part of the training process. It's not a separation of training and rest. So what is the first component? Shifting, just like I mentioned, that actual attitude and that thought process. Recovery is the actual process of your body taking the materials that you broke down during that training session and growing them, adapting them, so that you can better perform that at that same level in a future training session. And so we don't want to think about it as something that's separate from the training process, but the recovery is actually a part of your body's growth journey. It's not passive. It needs to be an active part of your practice. And we don't want to just train hard and focus on training hard and then not apply some discipline and attention to the recovery process as well. Because you'll get much better results if you train hard and you also optimize those recovery processes. First things first, what can we do in the first 15 minutes, 30 minutes, within the first hour of that training session? First, refuel and rehydrate. Get a little bit of water, some sort of electrolytes, because you generally lose some of that during your sweat if you are sweating a lot. During your training session, you can use a little bit of salt, add that to some water, or if you have some sort of, if you can see it here, electrolyte drink, you can put that in your water as well. Tastes a little bit better. And you want to make sure you refuel the ounces that you may have lost during that training session. For those that are potentially weighing in and out of a practice, I know I used to do that during wrestling practices back in high school. You want to make sure you're refueling your body with the appropriate amount of liquid that you may have lost during that training session. You also want to do a little bit of just cool down work. It could be walking, it could be they call it crawling, or like a mobility flow, doing crab walking poses, going through an animal flow. If you're familiar with that, I'm certified as an animal flow instructor as well. Or just doing some joint mobility with the wrists, shoulders, knees, hips, ankles, making sure the body just is loosened up after that very tough training session. And then lastly, take a few minutes, 10, 15 minutes, or even 5, to just reflect on the session. What went well? What could you have improved? And document that. That is one thing I really wish I had started doing earlier, was documenting, writing physically in a journal the things that I want to be, that went well, and that I could improve, because then you have all those notes. You can look at them and say, hey, okay, these are the things I need to improve, and then I want to take that into my next session, whether it's the next training session that week or the following week when you're doing that same routine. How can you optimize that actual training session itself? 2, nutrition is key. You want to fuel your body with the proper things to make sure that your body can recover appropriately. Prioritize protein intake. You want to make sure you're getting, depending on your goals, 20 to 40 grams of protein within the first couple of hours. And it's not so much that it's important that it's within the first couple of hours. It's more so ensuring you're getting the proper amount of protein that your body needs based off of the goals that you have for your training, whether it's a recomposition goal, weight loss goal, muscle building goal, etc. You want to make sure you're fueling your body with the proper proteins, because those are the raw materials that are going to help your muscles repair in the process from that training session. You also want to get some carbs in there, some fruit, potatoes, some rice, some very light carbs, because your body uses that as its most readily available energy source, and so you don't want to be dragging afterwards and just completely dead because your body doesn't have the available energy source to continue to function after that training session. You don't have to have a lot, but just enough to kind of like keep your body and your mind mentally going and sharp. And as with most things, we'll talk on fats are great too. If you did a more extended duration, your body starts to break down some of your fats as a fuel source as well. So don't be shy from eating some of those fats. Incorporate a very wholesome meal afterwards. And it's always best to get it from real food sources, not supplements. But supplements are great too. I know a lot of people that have very busy lifestyles. They go from a training session. They need that protein shake just to get that protein in before they move on to like a next meeting or activities that they have going on with a very busy lifestyle. So you have to get the nutrients the way that you need to, and that's optimal for your lifestyle. Next, number 3, sleep. So sleep is very important for the recovery process. The general guidelines for sleep is 7 to 9 hours for people, and you really have to figure out what that number is for you. I know that I often got somewhere around the 7 to 8 while I was still in high school hours of sleep. I kind of tailed off on that as I aged a little bit. But I can function on 6 hours of sleep, and again, that's me. It's not the best, as long as it's good quality sleep, I can wake up very refreshed. But some days it's interrupted, and so that's why it's important to get that volume of sleep, the 7 to 9 hours. And the sleep is what's rebuilding the skills. Your mind is also reshifting and adapting to the skills and repairing the muscles the way that you need to. It also helps your hormone levels reset to where they need to be. So that's why sleep is so important. And you want to set your room up, your environment up for a good quality sleep, keeping it a little bit cooler, mid to high 60s in terms of temperature is great. Keeping it really dark so you don't have that light interrupting that sleep for your circadian rhythm, and try to keep it in a consistent schedule. Again, everyone's got different lifestyle situations that they have to deal with, so you just have to optimize it as best you can for your given circumstance. Next, make sure that you're including recovery days in your training schedule. And what this is instead of lifting hard or having a very hard training session, you're doing some light recovery work, so your muscles are still moving, your body's still moving, your mind's still moving, and it makes sure it's almost like greasing your joints and your wheels. You're moving the body so that that it doesn't stay sore, because it wants to move, but sometimes during the repair process it wants to tighten up. It wants to I'm trying to think of the word right now and it's blanking, so I we'll think of it at some point during another video. But your body kind of wants to just like tense up and not move, but it actually wants you to be moving those muscles again. So if you're training a arm day, right, you want to make sure you're not training heavy, but you're still kind of getting that movement in, because the muscles actually want to be engaged and moved to continue to repair themselves and be mobile in the way that they need to be. Work on some breath work as part of your routine as well. There's different methods. There's a box method. There's deep breathing. There's all sorts of methods that I won't go into here. But there's a lot of different ways that you can just elevate your nervous system through breathing techniques to help your body recover itself and ensure it's getting enough oxygen to recover from a very tough session. And if you have access to a sauna or a cold plunge or cold shower or some of those types of things as well, those can be very beneficial as well. They, again, activate your nervous system to help with some of that recovery process. And so if you have access to them, always take advantage of them if you have the time and resources to do so. And then lastly, something that you can always do is recover or have some sort of ritual from a recovery standpoint. If you pick a day where you just absolutely rest, you don't do anything, but you do some foam rolling to roll out some tense or tight muscles, or if you've got little knots that you've felt built up, or any sort of lactic acid that you may have built up over the week. Do some sort of just flow, mobility, light movement to keep the muscles engaged, and do some reflection. All of these things can help with your process and fine-tune your training routines on a week-to-week basis, and that will help you make very progressive bounds towards the goals that you're working towards. And I'll move past this. I think the most important thing is recovery is an important part of your process. You need to include it as a part of your routine. If you're not, it's something that it is a very big gap, I would say, that you're neglecting as a part of your routine to get to your outcomes and your achievements that you're looking to get to much faster. Being consistent with this is going to be the best plan to help you progress towards your goals. And it also can give you a competitive edge, because not everyone's doing all these things. And so if you're in the best shape possible when it comes to competition time, you're going to have that edge over your competitors in your match. So I went through a lot here. I hope a lot of it was valuable to you about different tactics that you can be doing if you haven't employed them today. Ensuring that you have recovery built into your routine, getting the proper nutrition, including proper amount of protein and carbs as a post-exercise meal or supplementation that you may need. Hydrate yourself. Make sure you're getting adequate amounts of sleep. Include active recovery days as a part of your routine, because that'll help you rebound faster for your next training session. And then also do a lot of reflection that can help you make progress towards your goals. These things are all going to be instrumental to helping you make progress, and you'll feel a lot better in the process. You'll be less sore from those intense training sessions. It's not that you're going to completely mitigate it, because it's a natural part of the process, but you will minimize the amount of feeling that you'll have, and that will diminish over time as you continue to move on in your training program as well. So if you loved all that, please click a subscribe button here on the YouTube, wherever it is, on the channel here. And if I can help you out in any way, we've got a lot of resources in our martial arts fit community that I host on School. Check that out in the link below. And if we get a chance to work out one-on-one together, that would be fantastic if I can help you out with your mobility and strength training journey. I would love to see if it's a great fit. So check that out in the link below, and we will see you in the next video.